Hi, it's Kevin Lobates here, and video 17 in a series commissioned by the Helsinki Blockchain Center. And in a previous video, I said I would talk about the potential future utility of non-fungible tokens. In that video, I was looking at an NFT plus movie use case, or rather it wasn't a use case because my suspicion was that the NFT will be a collectible. And an NFT that is a collectible is a digital item that is owned by one person and can then be passed on to other people if they want to sell it onwards. So there's clearly defined ownership, but it doesn't have any utility. It does have value, but that is a psychological value that's attributed to it by the owner, either because they like to own digital pictures of funny looking cats, or because they feel that other people like to own pictures of funny looking cats and they want to make a profit by buying it first and then selling it on for more money. That's the collectible world for you. It's not entirely rational, but it's very well observed that people like to own all sorts of random stuff and are willing to pay significant money in order to get their hands on, for example, pop memorabilia or medals from some distant war or something like that, if it's something that they're interested in. So nothing unusual there. However, there's much more that NFTs can offer than just creating digital equivalents of collectible items. And the reason why boils down to one thing, and that is the use of the blockchain for identification or identity. And we're seeing advances in that area, and you can go and find tutorials on the web on how to allow people to log on to your website using a blockchain address rather than using, for example, log on with Facebook or log on with Google, which is a kind of federated form of identification that has become very, very popular. So the idea there is, rather than you having to go and make an account on every single website, if you've already identified and authenticated yourself on one website using something like open authentication, you can then go and identify yourself on other websites. So kind of create a user account on the other website automatically by pre-filling it in with the stuff that you've already given a previous website. But this, of course, isn't decentralized because you're still relying on a Facebook or a Google to handle the identification system, and they are a central authority. So with the blockchain, you create an address on that blockchain, and that becomes your identity on the blockchain. And then you can go to a website, and the website can challenge you to sign something with your private key to prove that you are indeed the owner of the public key. So it's very similar in a way to using a Facebook or Google to log in to another website, but it's decentralized because your identity on the blockchain is not managed by one commercial entity. And this is where I think NFTs will actually start showing some real value, because now that you've identified yourself as the owner of a particular address, the website can go and check what tokens you own, because it's an open and transparent ledger. And that means you can start minting tokens that have utility. So to pick an example, you have a game website, and the game has certain features that are only available to people who've paid some money. How do you keep a record of the fact that they've paid that money? Well, you could do it by having a database at the back end of the game and checking that, or you could put the extra features or superpowers that you get into a non-fungible token. And then when you log on with your blockchain address, and when you verify that you are the holder of one of these tokens that gives you a magic sword or the ability to fly or something like that, the game site can go and check that on the blockchain, and they know it's you from the identification thing, and they know that you own the token because they can see it there on the ledger, and therefore your character can fly whereas the other ones can't. Now, I picked a kind of childish example here, but it's mainly to clarify what I'm thinking here. So you can see that kind of thing transferring into all sorts of possibilities, not just games with functionality or objects that you would only have in the game by having the NFT, but as access keys to all sorts of rights. So licenses to access certain data, for example. I'll let you come up with your own examples. I'm sure you'll come up with a list of 10 very, very quickly if you think about it. So that's one of the areas that I think NFTs are going to be very useful. And then, of course, what you can do is, if you no longer want to have that ability in the game, or you no longer are interested in accessing a particular block of data, let's say it's some music or a video clip or something like that, well, then you can sell the NFT on. And it's an NFT that has the same properties as one of these collectible NFTs, but it actually does something too. So I see that as adding a lot more value to the ecosystem than the current collectibles that we just have. But people are very excited about these collectibles. There's hundreds of millions being traded every day. So, well, maybe not every day, but I certainly know that the monthly figures are surprisingly high. Anyway, this video has gone on a bit longer than my usual HPC videos, but I hope you found it interesting. It's a bit kind of a bit of futurism, which I normally try to avoid, but I don't think it's that far off in the future. Hope it was good food for thought, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video soon. Bye for now.